Connected to Flynn's MacBook Air.
You're live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm calling this meeting of the Historic Districts Review Board to order. Today we are October the 27th, 2020. And Melissa, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Chair Rios,
Here.
Vice Chair Katz,
Here.
Member Beachside,
Here.
Member Bienvenue,
Here.
Member Guida,
Member Guida is excused tonight.
thank you. Member Larson,
Here.
Member Roybal.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Melissa. And staff, is Nicole Ramirez Thomas on board this evening? I understand she's on contract by the city of Santa Fe as the staff liaison.
Madam Chair, I haven't seen her signed in tonight. I think she may join and observe tonight, but she just started yesterday and she's on limited time. So she will be picking up as your liaison after this for the interim, but I haven't seen her signed in yet tonight unless she's joined since I was last in the attendees.
Okay, thanks a whole lot, Sally. Any changes, board members or staff, to the agenda? Anybody? No, it appears no changes.
Move
And
to
I will-
adopt the agenda as submitted.
Yes, and thank you, Member Katz. I will ask all the members of the board, when you are making a motion in a second, please state your name, your last name, and that will help, or your first name, whatever, but please do that. Is there- Thank you, Buddy. So Member Katz made the motion and Member Roybal seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, Member Beachside,
Yes.
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Yes.
Member Larson,
Yes.
Member Roybal.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you, Melissa. We have minutes of October the 13th, 2020. Board members, any changes to these minutes? Member Katz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I have a change on page 20. My first comment about the fourth one down. Vice Chair Katz asked whether it is visible from the street opposite. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Member Beachside.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 9, the first line of that page reads, changes the streetscape. Could you please insert before streetscape character of the structure and? So it changes the character of the
Okay.
structure and streetscape. And then on page 11, the second sentence at the very top of the page begins, she thought it worth asking. I wonder if you could preface that by the following, but to facilitate the current direction of the discussion, she thought it worth asking.
okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Member Bienvenue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page 24, the second full paragraph, second sentence of that paragraph, it begins, there is more, and please insert the word no, N-O, between is and more.
Okay,
And then on page 45, second full paragraph, 5 lines down, the sentence begins, he found that the drawings meet that standard and was glad and then the word era, E-R-A appears. That word should be error, E-R-R-O-R.
error.
Yes,
Okay.
that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Melissa, I have 3, and the first one is on page 10.
Okay,
8th paragraph down that starts with Chair Rios. The word building should be roof, a corrugated metal roof, not building. Okay?
Okay,
And
okay.
then, the next one is on page 26. Hold on a smidgen. Okay, let me see. That would be the fourth paragraph down. Uh, Okay, the portion that starts the mission portion of the building with its, it should read, with its stepping feature at the front facade also exists in a building near the PRA building.
Okay,
That is also a Pueblo Revival building. Okay.
okay.
Okay, and the last one is on page 55. And that is the third paragraph down. After, on the third line, after monuments, I also indicated and statues. And that's it.
Okay,
Thank you. If there are no further changes, is there a motion to approve the minutes as just amended? Minutes of,
Larson will second.
roll call vote, please.
yes, Member Beachside,
Yes,
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Vice Chair Katz. Remember to mute and unmute.
That's the evil of muting, is you forget to unmute. Yes.
okay, Member Larson,
Yes.
and Member Royball.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
Thank you, Melissa. Next, we have findings of fact and conclusions of law. There are 9 in our packet. Are there any changes, board members or staff? None. Is there a motion to approve as submitted?
Katz moves to approve.
Larson will second.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes, Member Beachside,
yes,
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Yes.
Member Larson,
Yes.
Member Royball.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion has been approved.
Okay, thank you very much. Matters from the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment this evening? I have 2 people, Stephanie Benato.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Good, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask about this liaison that you were mentioning, who's just recently been hired. And if you could describe what that person's role is with the board and who they are liaison to. I think that would be really helpful for the public. Thank you.
Okay, and just a minute. And then we have another person wishing to make public comment. And it is Jay, I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name.
It looks like it's Jim.
Oh, you're right. Jim Arndt. I'm probably mispronouncing it. Jim, sorry about that. If you'll unmute, you have the floor.
Actually, this is Natalie Kent, which,
Okay. Yes, Natalie.
because I'm on Jim Aaron's computer. I just had few questions about the last week issue on 725 Old Santa Fe Trail, which I never got to talk to you, unfortunately, but I had a question about few things. May I ask?
I'm going to refer to the city attorney. I don't know if that is proper at this time. And I don't know how involved your questions are.
They're very simple.
Oh, Okay.
The usual procedure is to just allow comments. And if you want to direct questions to the chair may ask staff if we'd like to respond, but it's not really like a formal question and answer session, but you may provide your comments and questions if you'd like, and then we'll leave it in the chair's discretion.
Okay, Ms. Kent, go ahead and ask your question or make your comment.
Yes, so my question was the skylight on the top of that roof, which was 2 rectangles with X's. I have no clue what it looks like. I was wondering how that, if it was going to be, if it looks like a skylight or if it was going to be a flat piece of glass or a dome, or I have no clue. And my second thing was the heights. It was like 12 foot high, which I was hoping would be lower. And also, how do we get the answer about that parapet that everybody on your side were questioning the edge of this parapet, which concerns me because that's what I'm looking at. And also what kind of lighting was going to be used because it's awfully close to me. So I was wondering if he had any lighting that he submitted to the board, as it like so close to me.
Attorney Paez, I'm going to give you the floor as to the questions that are being posed this evening regarding
Okay.
skylight height and edge of parapet.
Chair Rios, I really can't speak to the design very much. I believe Daniel was the case planner. I don't know if he's prepared with those kinds of details of the plans, but what I would note is that plans submitted to the land use department and the staff report and the applications, those are all of public record. So Ms. Kent is free if she wants to go on to our next request system. If you just Google like City of Santa Fe IPRA request, inspection of public records request, you'll find an electronic portal where you can request stuff like that. So that's certainly one option, and you can get whatever's been submitted. The one thing that I do recall with regard to the parapet, I'm pretty sure that it was a board condition that the applicant has to submit new drawings to staff that clarify that material. I don't know if that's happened yet, but again, that's the kind of thing that can be requested from the city. I suspect, I don't know if we have those new plans yet or not. So, and I don't know if Daniel wants to weigh in further on any of that, but in general, those are things that can be requested from the land use department through our IPRA request system.
And Daniel, also, you have the option to answer this evening, or I would suggest that Ms. Kent call you at the city. What is your option? What is your preference in reference to this case?
We have been in touch. She's free to write me an email. We can speak on the telephone. I believe that the applicant is submitting updated drawings, clarifying the materials and certain design features and correcting mistakes that were made on the plans. And then it will go to permitting where other issues that are not the purview of this board will be looked at, such as fire and zoning and things like that.
Okay, thank you. So Ms. Kent, you can communicate with Daniel via an email, and you can also see you do have the option to look at the records, of course. So did you get that information? It appears that she's gone. Oh, there she is. Ms. Kent, did you hear everything that has been said?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Did you hear everything that the Attorney Paez said, and also that the person that was assigned to that case, Daniel?
Yeah, I do understand, but even if I've been here a long time, being French, I don't understand any of that wording. So even if I read this, I don't get it. So
Okay.
you're the professional, so I was hoping you could tell me.
Well, I think that the 3 items that you pointed out are not difficult to understand. I don't believe you wanted to know what the skylight, where it was going to be, what it was going to look like. Also,
But
the
that-
height, you indicated the height and the edge of the parapet. I think that if you communicate with Daniel via email, unless he wishes to comment this evening, that you can get it in black and white in writing, and that will be clearer to you.
Okay,
Is that okay with you?
okay, I guess. I talked to
Or-
Daniel then.
Hold on a minute. Daniel, did you wish to say anything further in reference to these 3 items that you're concerned
I
about?
think that it would be better that we speak directly, not on this forum, so that she can ask the questions and make sure that she gets answers that she's happy with.
Okay, and you can either communicate with him via email or you can communicate with him via phone. Okay?
Okay, I understand. Thank you so very much.
Okay, you're welcome. I hope that satisfies your concerns. And next, we're going to go to staff communications, and I know that Stephanie Benanato, Attorney Paez had a question in reference to the person that is going to be the liaison, and if you wish to answer at this time or comment.
Thank you, Terrios. I actually just received a message from her asking for the Zoom link. So I was going to send it to her. I believe she is watching on YouTube. So the land use director did speak with a former staff member from the city who's been gone for a couple of years, Nicole Ramirez Thomas. She has a background in archaeology, and she has worked previously for the Historic Preservation Division and has, I think, served in an interim position before of sort of running the division. Around the time right before I started, when Carlos Gamora was kind of helping hold down the fort. So she does have experience with our process. I believe many members of the board may know her, and others in our historic preservation community. So we're lucky to get her. It's an emergency contract. I believe it's about 20 hours a week and runs through the end of the year. So this is not a regular full-time position, but Ms. Thomas will be, I believe, serving as the city staff liaison to the H board, as well as the Archaeological Review Committee. So she'll be helping run these Zoom calls. So Mr. Burke doesn't have to be here every single night with us. And she'll be also assisting the planners in processing the cases and working with Lanny McCauley in the office, who is also, as I think all of you know, very critical in kind of keeping all of our case management on the rails. So we're lucky to have the extra hands on deck. It is a temporary thing, and I understand that we will be posting a full-time position and hopefully hiring a regular full-time replacement soon, hopefully maybe around the beginning of the year. So that's about what I know. And I'm going to send Nicole this Zoom link. She might join us, but I can't talk and paste at the same time.
Okay, thank you, Sally, for the explanation. Appreciated. Okay, we will go on to business for this evening. We have nothing under old business, and we have 3 cases under new business. And as usual, I have to tell you that if you disagree with the decision this board renders this evening, you have the option to appeal to the city council. That would be done after the findings of fact and conclusions of law have been approved, and you'll have 15 days after that to file your appeal, and I'm sure that city staff can help you with that. With that being said, we'll go to the first case this evening, which is case 2020-002692, and that's located at 202 Galisteo Street. And this is a contributing building. And it's Angela's case. So Angela, may we hear your report, please?
Yes, Chair Rios and members of the board. At the southwest corner of Galisteo Street and Water Street in the downtown and east side historic district is a historically contributing 2-story commercial structure. Formerly El Fidel Hotel, it was built in 1923. The historic building survey in your packet notes it was once Spanish Baroque style and remodeled in a territorial revival style, date unknown. The building survey does not include additional information about the previous stylistic nature. The stucco and brick 2-story structure has territorial features such as brick coping at the top of the parapet and pedimented frame around the breezeway, and all the window trim is painted white. Street level ground floor windows are semicircular metal windows with operable 2/2 casements below 4 light fan lights. 202 Galisteo, the subject property, is located on the south side of the building's front entrance, front elevation. At the other side, Collected Works books to its north. And the photo that you just saw is the corner where, for reference, the Collected Works is located, and the subject property is to the south on that east facade. The breezeway separates the two stores. The owner wishes to add semi-domed burgundy canvas awnings over the ground level arched styled windows and over the doors facing the street. What you're looking at is the above picture is the back of the building, the west elevation. The window awnings are intended to provide protection from morning direct east sunlight. The awnings will have no lettering or signage. The structure is iron cage and base installed to the wall between brick lines and window frames with screws. A picture of the awning style and color is in your packet. So there's a mock-up of the proposal. Those are existing awnings at the Hotel St. Francis. That's the proposed color of the awnings.
Sorry.
I don't think that I need to read the exception criteria and responses because that's in your packet, as well as the letter from the applicant. So with that, I believe the exception criteria has been met and I do recommend approval of the application per section 14-5.2D, general design standards for all H districts, and 14-5.2 downtown and east side historic district standards. I'll conclude my report.
Thank you, Angela. So Angela, a couple of questions for you. So the applicant is requesting a total of 6 awnings, 5 over the windows, and would be on the southwest corner of the building, and 1 over the door, correct?
Yes, Chair Rios, that you're correct, that's the number of awnings proposed, and the door and the windows are all on the east elevation.
Okay, thank you. East elevation. And also the swatch that you put up, it looked a little like it had a lot of pink, but you really indicated it's this swatch. It has like a lot of pink, but you indicated the color is burgundy. And of course, burgundy is a lot darker. So which is it? Is it this one or a darker burgundy?
Chair Rios, I'm glad you pointed that out. This is part of a feature of how the colored copy has come out and electronically. The one thing we haven't done is to make sure that the applicant is available right now in the audience to speak to precisely this question. Noah, I don't know if the applicant Ryan Allen is there. He's the applicant.
Yes, the applicant is there.
Okay. So Ryan Allen's the applicant, and I would like to state in response to your comment that yes, the awnings that are proposed are more burgundy, a deeper red, as I saw them in the original materials. And I think they've come out a little faded in this particular swatch. So the applicant can speak to that for us all.
Thank you. And also, just to reiterate, there are 3 criteria that the applicant has to respond to and meet all the exceptions to the to the responses to the exceptions of the criteria, and you agree with the responses, correct?
Chair Rios, members of the board, I do.
Okay, thank you. It appears that Member Katz has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is that the mock-up you showed us with the sort of drawing on the window looks like I guess my question, are the awnings going to cover the brick or not? Because on the, it shows it covering the brick on the facade drawing.
Chair Rios, my understanding is that they will not cover the brick as part of the design in order to protect that those arches.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that can, of course, Member Katz or whoever makes the motion, if those are the wishes of the board, that can be included in the motion. Member Beachside.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I don't know why my video isn't working, but hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, I just had a question about a statement in the report, Angela, that references 202 Galisteo as the south side of the building, the building's elevation. Are we to treat the two businesses, Collected Works and this one, as separate properties, or are we looking at this building as a whole?
Member Beachside, we're looking at just this business, which is a part of that property that shares other businesses. And I used Collected Works as an identifier for a reference point. And it is the, the front of the building is the east elevation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just that it's a very symmetrical building, so I'm just trying to just figure out if we should be looking at it as a whole or sort of split into half. I guess my other question is, would you consider these awnings to be removable or permanent?
Member Beachside, I would consider them to be removable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Member Katz.
Yeah, along the lines that Jennifer was inquiring, it looks a little awkward to me to have sort of like half of the facade of that east facade with awnings and not the other half. Has there been any thought, discussion about making the awnings cover all of the window, the bottom floor windows on the east facade?
Member Katz, I am seeing that as we're talking about it. There was no discussion about it. As I understand it, those are two separate businesses that flank the breezeway. And thus, this is the owner of the southern side of that building who's requesting the awnings.
I understand that, but it does impact the whole building, and it's quite a symmetrical, substantial building. I'll ask the
Yeah, you can ask the applicant. And can you put that that elevation back up with the awnings? No, thank you. Oh, that doesn't show all the what Frank's talking about.
Well, east facade.
There we go.
Back one, please.
Back one more, yeah. There you have it, most of it.
Okay, thank you. It appears that board members have no further questions at this time, so let's swear in the applicant.
Okay, and who would that be?
That's me, Ryan Allen.
Thank you, sir. Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your full name and address for the record.
Ryan Layton Allen, 2395 Camino Pintores, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87505.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, good evening.
Evening, guys.
what do you have to tell us about these awnings? And I'm sure that members will pose questions to you.
Sure.
One of them is from member Katz. He's wondering if the other tenants in that building are wanting to put awnings on their portion, on their
They would,
the building.
excuse me. Yes, there was a discussion about it, and the reason why this owner wanted to pursue it, and then other people that have the lease agreement for the next door, they thought, well, if you get it approved, we would maybe like to proceed as well. But at this time, I can only speak for the owner and his willingness to go ahead, and if this is approved, that he would in fact put those there. It's a carpet store, so he's having some damage from UV light, and he doesn't want to put paper. So he had approached us and asked me to, look at what it would take to put awnings on this. I think RIM, the owner or the lease, provided that one sketch, and when we looked at it, it's my elevations in terms of the architectural drawings are more accurate in terms of being around the brick, addressing Mr. Katz's questions. And I actually didn't submit that rendering, so I was surprised to see it. But I think when he did his initial review, he had asked it, and myself and Aaron Burkhan had a look at it, and we think there's some problems in terms of structural integrity. And the reason why it needs to go around the outside of the brick is for health and safety concerns. The metal windows would have to be drilled, and it is a temporary awning. It wouldn't be something that would be there, and my elevations are more correct in terms of that. So I think I may have addressed it. And in terms of the burgundy, it is a lot darker. And yes, every time I see a picture of that on the computer, it is a lot, looks pink. I don't like it, but it's a function of the machine. So yes, it's more of a burgundy, like a red wine, the deep red wine.
Madam Chair, if the applicant would like, they can do a share screen and show their more recent architectural renderings with probably better elevations, if Mr. Allen wanted to do that.
You certainly can do that, Mr. Allen, if you'd like. I don't know. I have a pretty clear picture. I don't know if other board members feel like they need a clearer picture. I think we're pretty familiar with this building. Any discussion on this particular subject, board members? If you wanted clearer pictures, clearer elevations. It appears that no one's raising their hand except member Larson, but I think she had her hand raised prior to my asking the question. Member Katz?
Yes, I was a little confused with the reference to owner. Is this being done by the tenant or by the building owner?
It's being done by the condominium. There's several owners in this building that have leases, and the building is in its entirety that manages the building is on board and is allowing them to do this. And we let them know that we were pursuing this work. So they're aware of this in terms of individual people wanting to put the awnings on this building. So the not call it homeowners, but the business association for the building is aware of what's going on, and they're behind what he was requesting.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Larson, Mr. Allen, as further clarification, did you indicate that the brick would or would not be covered with the awnings?
The brick would be covered with the awnings. And in terms of my elevations, the architectural drawings, that's the best place for the installation in terms of life, health, safety for those awnings. It's not advantageous to put it inside the brick. It's dangerous drilling into the glass. It's a very thin metal frame, and it would be messing with the integrity of that window. And when we reviewed it, it is our intent that the awnings would go on the outside of the brick. And if you will note, the door itself doesn't have this brick surround. So when I was doing these drawings, the original documents didn't have the brick surround. So when those showed up, I'm not quite sure, but the appropriate way and the safe way and the structural way would be to put them on the outside of that brick.
Okay, thank you for your further clarification. Member Larson. Member Larson, you may unmute.
Thank you. I have some comments rather than questions directly addressing the applicant. Is that okay if I make comments now?
Well, of course, that's your function. Yes, of course.
Okay, so I have a few thoughts just relating to this project. I think that this is a very invasive way to approach this this issue that we're dealing with the project. I think that this facade is very strongly defined by these arch windows and notably the transoms with the 3 light patterns in that kind of arch form. So I think that adding awnings would be very much a detraction from this facade. It makes me nervous when we start talking about, is this temporary or is it reversible? Because in my experience, when something is said to be temporary or reversible, that doesn't necessarily mean that it will come down even in 50 years. So I think as this facade stands, the most character defining features are on this ground level. And I think we would be kind of doing a disservice to this facade and this building and adding these awnings. And I would point to page 15 in our packet, Exhibit D, if you're able to show that, I'm not sure, depicting the Hotel St. Francis. That is a different window shape where it may be the awning is more appropriate, more suited, and isn't detracting from the facade. And I also agree with Chair Katz and or Vice Chair Katz and Jennifer Beachide that there is this kind of also character defining feature of symmetry. And I just don't quite understand if there's a need to reduce UV, why we wouldn't look at possibly altering the glazing, something that could be less invasive and maybe more cost effective even and maintenance effective for the applicant. So those are just my thoughts and comments. Look forward to more discussion.
Thank you, Member Larson. Member Bienvenue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the same theme, a question for the applicant. It seems that the entire reason for this requested variance and for the awnings themselves is to reduce or eliminate the UV rays that are penetrating the glazing. And I'm wondering if the owner or you have explored any other alternatives such as UV sunblocking film or something along those lines.
Mr. Allen.
So Rim, the owner of the carpet store, and I talked about this, and this is the direction in which he wanted to pursue after we walked the streetscape. We wanted to basically be congruent with the environment. And because of the arched windows, that was the reason why those were pursued with those half domes. The transom can be seen from underneath. It's a street side view. It's a pedestrian thing. So the owner and his direction, this is what he would like to see. Tinting and for the windows wasn't really considered an option because it is a rug store, and he would like to have the pedestrians be able to view the rug store. He gets a lot of business from people walking, and would like to leave those as open as he could on the lower. He's still compromising. He's not getting all the UV protection that he'd like. But in terms of looking at the vernacular of the space, that's why the half domes were approached and why we pursued it this way.
Thank you.
So do you think, would it be possible to get the same effect though, to reduce the UV rays to the same amount using some kind of a film?
I honestly couldn't answer that in terms of again, I just have to go back to the owner's reasoning and his petitioning to get us to look at this was to keep in forum with the vernacular that's going on downtown in terms of that, and that's why that Hotel St. Francis was put in there, along with the arched windows. So the idea was that we felt this was the least invasive approach to have pedestrians be able to still see curbside view into his rugs, so for his sales purposes.
Okay, so was there any thought given or any studies done as to how much sunlight is actually penetrating those windows during the daytime, and then how much would be reduced by those awnings as you've drawn them?
Yeah, actually, I used my old solar calculator, and we did see that by adding the awnings, I'm not going to give you a percentage, but it helps because it's the high sun in terms of in the morning between, and it depends on the solstice, and when the east sun comes over. So the biggest problem is the low sun to the east. So roughly around 12 o'clock, it's not a big deal. But first thing in the morning, the sun penetrates, especially with the lower sun in the winter. So the idea was to try to manage it the best way we could, along with the transom windows, because yes, we do agree that they're an architectural element, and we believe that the best way to achieve that vernacular that's been done is to use that arch dome over the window. So there's still quite a bit of compromise, but it helps a bit.
Can you give a percentage or any kind of number about how much it helps to have the awnings?
I couldn't do that right now, no. But,
okay.
But the idea is that it's not going to cover all of it. It does some of it. So it's the long sun when the windows in the transom allows that sun to come in on the east in the mornings. And he's, the only reason why he approached this is because he's actually having damage. It's not that he, absolutely wants to put the domes on. This was an approach that we thought fit the vernacular. So that's the pursuit that we took.
Under the proposals you've submitted it, how far do the awnings extend out from the building?
So if we look at the plan, I think because the window varies, can we go back to the plan there, Angela? I actually have, let me see. Because the door is just a tad bit smaller, the door awning will project about 3'6" from the edge of the facade of the building. And then the windows would project about would project 3'6" as well. There's a variance that they got to look at when they look at the windows. Some of those arches were just a little bit off. They're pretty accurate, but in terms of their construction, we'd be looking at 3'6" maximum off of the facade of the building.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Member Benvenue. Member Roybal.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have actually a question for staff. I personally like these semi-dome burgundy canvases. I think they're attractive and they would add a little bit of color to this building. I don't think it would detract to the building. So the question is for staff, is historical value, I don't think they value this building being a contributing building, or else staff would not have approved it. Is that correct?
So Angela, he says.
Member Roybal, yes. That is correct. I do tend to agree that it does not detract from the overarching features that characterize this building in terms of all the windows that are visible and, not just on the ground floor, but certainly all along that facade, as well as the windows up top and the brick coping. And I have to admit or offer that I, as a planner, also see a benefit of having this building have somewhat more shade on the sidewalk as you walk along it. Now, I don't believe that that's a historic preservation consideration, but I would be remiss in not offering that because I don't believe it compromises the historic designation. Yeah, I believe that it wouldn't compromise this building's.
The only concern also I have is when he said it might be a temporary, the damage that would have been done to the walls. I'm trying to remember if this is, it is a stucco building, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So if they did take the awnings down later on, they could be repaired probably with no problem. Okay, well, again, I really like the way they're gonna look. If it's approved, I think it would add some color to the downtown area and not detract from it. Thank you for answering the question, Angela.
Thank you, Member Roybal. Thank you, Angela. Member Beachside.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to ask the applicant, with respect to criteria number 3, did the tenant offer or investigate any sort of interior shading, like curtains or window coverings of any sort, as a design alternative to the awnings?
Mr. Allen, if you could.
Again, yes, no, again, it goes back to street side view and it's in the morning sun when he's open. So curtains were never discussed because it wouldn't have been an option in terms of how the function of the window works for him.
Thank you. Member Beachside, did you have anything further?
So sorry, just to clarify, do you mean to say he's using that upper transom to display his rugs, and that covering that would it compromise that?
No, the upper transom is what presents most of the problems to fading his rugs. And so he uses the windows as for sails for the rugs. So putting curtains over those types of things. The idea is in the low sun, he wanted to use those awnings to advantage. And then
yeah, and a covering over just the transoms was not considered, or that doesn't seem feasible.
no, he didn't believe that would do anything for him. He wanted to approach this idea this way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Larson.
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of continue what Jean Bienvenu was talking about. I am reading, or I read Preservation Brief 44 from the National Park Service, and the data indicates that a awning can reduce heat and UV up to 65%. And a window tint could do more, if not equal, to the awning, while being much less invasive to historic fabric. So I think with Jennifer's thoughts of tinting the transom or offering more shade to the transom, I think that would solve the issue here. I really don't think that we need to get into this historic fabric and alter the exterior appearance, which, like I said before, is so character defining to this building. I really think that there are more alternatives to be discussed that can benefit the owner as well as the historic fabric and character of the streetscape so much better.
Thank you, Member Larson. Member Bienvenu.
Sorry, lowering hand.
Oh, sorry. Vice Chair Katz.
Thank you. My question is, to what extent does a window tint that blocks ultraviolet interfere with the transparency of the window or the visibility of what's in the window displayed for the customers? Does anyone have experience with that or knowledge about how it changes the glass?
Mr. Allen?
Yeah, one of the problems that we have on the south and east sun is when you introduce a tint, you actually kind of create a mirror effect. So you're really not able to see his product. So it creates that mirror effect. That's one of the issues.
And Mr. Allen, the rugs, I'm going to guess, are very close to the windows, the display of the rugs?
Oh yeah, the whole place is rigged out. There's lots of rugs in there. So he has them stacked in the front. And then, I mean, they're very expensive rugs, of course, but that, that's here nor there. It's his product that he wants to present, and it's a great location for him. And that's why I decided to put the shop there, was because of travelers coming through and seeing things. There's a lot of pedestrian side views, so he gets a lot of walk-off traffic from this. So again, the design of the approach for the awning was try to be the least evasive in terms of actually adding something to the vernacular, following suit with what's in the vicinity of the neighborhood and the planning of the streets and such.
Mr. Allen, does the business owner have a sign that indicates that the rugs are being sold in the store?
Yes, ma'am. And it's really hard to see. You can kind of see it there in that picture, but it's not much. I mean, most people are not looking for the sign. Most people are window shopping.
Okay, thank you. Member Roybal.
Madam Chairman, thank you. My concern with the request that we're losing what the client is trying to do. What he's trying to do is display his works. With business being as bad as it is and him needing the business to survive, that we could possibly deter some of the business it could get. The tinting windows will not work. I've had tinted windows before, and they do mute the interior very badly. So that would not be a good option for him. So again, the semi-dome canvas, as long as they don't ruin the historical significance of the building, and staff said that they would not. I'm hoping that we can approve this for him. Again, business is pretty tough nowadays. So, and again, it's not going to ruin the integrity of this contributing building. And I think it's going to be actually an attractive to the downtown area.
Thank you again, Mr. Member Roybal. Okay, it appears that we have no more comments from the members at this time. No further comments. I will ask for public comment. Stephanie Beninato needs to be sworn in.
Yes. Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Stephanie Beninato, PO Box 1601, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87504. I agree with a lot of the comments made by members Larson, Katz, and Bescheid and Bienvenue. And I do think that even though there are half domes around the corner on St. Francis, Hotel St. Francis, that in this streetscape, it would not be harmonious. You have a portal right next to it, then you're going to have some dome shades, then you're going to have the open windows. And I do believe it's the first floor windows that are really the character defining windows with the brick coping that is clear and obvious. And then again, since there's so many other owners, one begins to wonder if maybe they'll want some domed shades up on the upper floors as well, which, could happen. And I do believe that there are other alternatives that have not been considered. And we have no idea whether this is going to be, driving this person out of business. I mean, that's all assumptions. It's all assumptions about what COVID is or isn't doing. The question is there an alternative to having these domes over these windows that would prevent the rugs from getting too much UV light? And I think that's quite obvious that there is. You can put it over the arch part. You could put it halfway down the first part of, the middle divide there. So you could have the top 1.5 of the window with the reflective light, or with a shade, not a curtain, but a shade that you could pull up or down. And still people walking would see what you have in the store. So I do think that this is a historic building. It is symmetrical. It is the windows are unique on that building. and having half of it be domed and half of it not, and the dome's next to a portal, to me, that's all very incongruous and inharmonious. And I think that's just as important as to whether one person's subjective opinion is that it will or will not affect the contributing nature of the building. Thank you.
Thank you. It appears that we have no one else from the public wishing to comment. I will go back to board members, and I think they have indicated all their comments. If there are no further comments, I will entertain a motion. Member Larson.
In case 2020-002692-HDRB, address 202 Galisteo Street, I move to deny the application on the grounds that the exception criteria have not been met and that not all alternatives have been considered.
Is there a second to the motion?
Katz will second.
Kat seconded. Roll call vote, please, to deny.
Yes, Member Beachay, to deny. You Member Beachay?
Yes.
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Yes.
Member Larson,
Yes.
Member Roybal.
No.
Madam Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you. Mr. Allen,
Yes.
so you have been denied this evening, and I did tell you you have the option to go to this before the city council, well, Zoom through the city council meeting, or you have the option to resubmit something different.
Yeah, I'll have to discuss it with the client.
Hi, you reached 661576. The beer comes. We're not in right now.
Oops. Okay, so Mr. Allen, thank you very much for your participation, and we may see you here again. Thank you. The next case is Angela's case as well, and it is case 2020-002693. This is located at 3 Placita Rafaela. And even though the cover sheet indicates contributing, I believe it is non-contributing. And Angela, would you read us your report?
Happily, Chair Rios, members of the board. Yes, it's non-contributing due to its alterations. So you're looking at the bird's eye view of this property. Number 3, Plaza Rafaela is a single-family old Santa Fe style residence built in 1932. It has adobe wall-dominated massing, a flat roof and parapet, an inset portal, and a front courtyard with an adobe yard wall and gate. That's the view from the southeast, yes. A small second story was added in 1970, along with the storage shed on the southeast elevation, which I understand is no longer there. That was in the HICP. It has stucco walls and exposed vigas on the east and north elevations. Windows are a mix of historic multi-light casements, and some are aluminum that were added later. The front portal has exposed lintels. The canales are metal, and the front courtyard wall is adobe with a gate. Because of major alterations, the house is designated non-contributing to the downtown and East Side Historic District. The structure's rear wall, the west elevation, is set back less than 5 feet of the adjacent property. The applicant is pursuing a variance with respect to rear setback and step back requirements, without which the proposal will not meet zoning requirements. The applicant is aware of this and seeks approval from the Board of Adjustment. Currently, the applicant proposes the following exterior alterations. Expand the second story room, which is 238 square feet now, by adding 102 square feet to its footprint. The addition will line up with the west, the rear wall, and match the existing height. Add a wood deck and railings on the south, east, and north sides. The railing will be 3 feet 2 inches high. It will be stained medium brown to blend in with the walls. The applicant proposes to repair historic windows and transpose these wood casement true divided lights 2/2 windows on the east facade. Windows will be painted to match the existing blue color. Replace the aluminum siding windows on the west facade with aluminum clad windows with 2/2 simulated divided light casement windows, also blue. Replace the existing but non-historic vinyl windows on the ground floor with wood casement divided light windows, also painted blue to match the rest. Replace second store aluminum windows with large wood casement windows, also painted blue. Remove the window on the ground floor south wall, which you can see in that south elevation. Replace the existing yard wall pedestrian gate with a traditional looking wood gate, painted blue to match the trim. The new gate is wood made from fir, painted decorative hinges with decorative hinges and a gate latch to be determined. There will be a 6 feet high coyote fence added to the west property line. The applicant proposes to repair and replace the roof as necessary. Restucco with tan, cementitious stucco, and blue trim. Install an HVAC system, landscape the courtyard, and add metal shielded light fixtures at the gate. Staff recommends approval of the proposed project, finding that the application complies with the general design standards for all the historic districts, as well as the downtown and east side district standards. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Angela. A couple of questions. Is the 6-foot coyote fence, is that going to be in the rear of the property?
If we could go to Rios, if we could go to the elevation. The west elevation is the rear. So that's the coyote fencing. If we could go to the south elevation. It doesn't appear that the coyote fence is on that south elevation, but the applicant had made some revisions that did not make it into the packet, and she's here tonight to speak to any of it and all of it, and including the coyote fence.
Okay. Also, the HVAC, where is that going to be located?
Chair Rios, that is up to the applicant to describe.
Okay, I will ask. Let me see if any other members have questions for you, Angela, at this time. It appears that they do not. Will you please swear in the applicant, Melissa?
Yes.
And I think that.
Who am I swearing in?
Gayla Bechtel.
Gayla Bechtel, okay. Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Gayla Bechtel, 418 Montezuma Avenue, Santa Fe, 87501.
Okay, thank you. Gayla, what do you have to, good evening, and what do you have to tell us about the project?
Good evening. I have a short presentation and I see that I can share my screen, if that's okay with you, Chair Rios and members of the board.
Absolutely.
Thank you. This is desktop 2, okay. I've been having problems. Oh dear, let's see, how am I going to do this? Excuse me for a moment. I'm going to turn off these. I've been having problems with my Zoom account, having shared screens.
Okay, well, we'll give you a moment.
Let me try one more time.
Certainly.
Well, I can try to download it also.
Noah, you might have to. I apologize. I've been having just the worst nightmare with my computer.
Sorry, does that look okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Next.
Pardon me?
No, go right ahead.
So I just wanted to note that in 1988, this bill, or 1984 and 88, this building as part of the Camino de Montesol Historic District was considered non-contributing because of the changes that were made in between 1966 and 1973 is the best date I could come up with. If you could do the next slide, Noah. And so you can see the area was quite developed even as early as 1965. And then the next slide, my circles, hoping that you can see them, but the 1966, the photograph on the left is what we're affectionately called the pimple. The pimple, the second story wasn't there. And then in 1973, you can see very clearly the shadow of the second story. So go ahead. Yeah, so and you can see it in the streetscape. And also note the lack of the vigas that are on the left of the drone shot are not on the right-hand side, which was from Google Shot. I don't know exactly the date. I do know that the one on the left was done this spring, and the one on the right was sometime before that. And right, then these are photographs from the 1991 Historic Cultural Properties Inventory, just to give you a little bit more context of what it indeed looked like and still looks like for the most part on the west side, or both of them are pretty clear. Go ahead to the next one. Then this was from the Camino de Montesol Architectural Historic Survey. And this was Montesol, but it's just to show you that second stories were somewhat allowed in that era. And go ahead to the next one. And then here's what we're proposing. And my clients live next door to this building, and they were really wanting to restore it to some to make it better. And so we started thinking about the second floor and the proportions of it. So that at the top of these two columns of drawings are the existing, and then the bottom is with the second floor extended, and then with a wooden railing attached for the decking. And then there's one more slide, Noah. Yeah, and that's just the rear showing the west side. Chair Rios, to answer your question, the new HVAC condenser will be on the west side behind this coyote fence. And right now there's just a gate that's anticipated because there is only 3 feet between the back of the building and the fence itself, where you can walk through from the other side. And that's it for my, oh, I'm sorry, these are the montages. So we did these photo montages that this sort of gave us the idea that, oh, the building looks much better if we extend the second floor out 6 feet. We sort of add 6 feet, add another window. We've ultimately made the windows larger than the current ones. And then the next one shows the rear. Yes. So that's the end of my presentation. So thanks, Noah.
Thank you. Board members, do you have questions? We have Member Katz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gayla, I really like what you're doing here. I agree. It makes the building look a lot better. The only thing that I wonder about is the extent of the railing covering virtually the entire building. And wondering, and I don't know the answer to this, but I wondered whether it would look better, maybe not going all the way to the parapet as you have it.
That's certainly a possibility. Chair Rios and Vice Chair Katz, we did look at different options for the railing, even doing a glass railing, which I think is the next slide, Noah, or the one before this one. Oh, there you go. Wondering about that. And then also a parapeted sort of just raising the parapet so we eliminate the sort of heaviness of the railing. We could certainly reduce the extent. The issue with that is that the better view of the mountains is from the north side, where that door is on the south side of the structure. So it wouldn't quite line up with the parapets on the south side if we only did it on the north side. But we're open to that. We're even open to not a railing, just to make it look so that it's not all, so that we can blend it in, basically, so it's all of a piece.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other board members have comments or in reference to the railing and what was just presented to us by Gayla? Let me see. I don't see anyone raising their hand. Yes, Buddy, Member Roybal.
The question is that a safety factor by not having a railing? It seems like it is. On the existing upper level structure, you have a door going out. Is this also going to have a door going out into the decking?
It does, Buddy, and so there would, it is a safety factor. Thank you. Right now there is no railing. You can just walk out the door, and it would be similar, which is another reason why we did need a railing or felt like we needed something there.
Is that something with a code that you? It seems like you wouldn't have to have a railing with an open.
We'd have to eliminate the door and not access the roof if we don't have a railing.
Okay, yeah, so it'd be a shame to eliminate the door, and it would be better to have the railing.
Yes, and we're open to that. Yeah, open to helping, figuring out the right language for the railing for the building.
Thank you. Is that it, Betty? Okay, I think Buddy's done. Member Larson?
Thanks. I actually really like what's been done here. I also appreciate the kind of photo editing that you're able to do. I think that helps us kind of get a better picture of what it'll look like. For the railing, I agree with Member Katz where it is a little bit overwhelming in these renderings, but I think in page, yes, it's the last page, page 26 in our packet on, sheet 26. I think it's a little bit less overwhelming seeing the kind of airiness that happens with the railing itself. So maybe it would help to look at that. I'm also kind of intrigued by this glass idea, and I just wonder, Gayla, if you'd be able to kind of explain what the material composition of a glass railing would look like. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair Rios, Member Larson. We were only just started exploring the glass, the different railings yesterday, when I realized that that I needed to have some options just in case the conversation went this direction. And so you would need some ballast or some post because the glass would not be able to span, and maybe the maximum span might be 6 or 8 feet. And so then the choice would be those posts or steel. The glass could be just clear glass without any kind of top or bottom, but so that it's held together by the posts themselves. So that would be the most minimal way that we could use glass, I would believe. And then you could sort of back up from there and have more verticals and then the glass. When I presented this to my clients, the glass was their least favorite option because they felt like that it was actually against the historic nature of the neighborhood. And so, so while it's intriguing, it's also, it would have to be done really, really well to fit in with the building itself. That answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
In reference to the, if I might chime in here, in reference to the glass type of railing, I agree with your clients. I think this is a very modernistic type element, and it just doesn't go with the Pueblo Revival building. And yeah, it just, in my opinion, it just doesn't go. I think the railing that you have suggested or drawn, the wood railing is a better option. Let's see what Member Benvenue has to say.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, I would agree with the glass not being a very good option. But I also agree with the other comments that it is, first of all, the project in general is great, and you've done a wonderful presentation. It's really helpful to have the kind of information you're providing. And the addition is a great improvement to what you've done to it. But the railing does strike kind of a discordant note, just because it appears to be sort of a structure on top of the entire perimeter of the house that I've never seen anywhere before, that's kind of unrelated to anything other than trying to have a big rooftop deck. And I'm wondering, you've said your client and you would be open to some modifications of that. You obviously have a very, refined sense of the historical character of the house and the neighborhood. What would you think would be another alternative that would allow a railing so that the door could stay, but that it wouldn't be so overwhelming?
Chair Rios, Member Benvenue, thank you for that question. We had talked about some kind of trellis or some kind of, so to take away from the sort of only horizontal piece, that we'd add a vertical, and then maybe we could turn it so we could leave the south mostly empty, and then concentrate everything on the north, because we still have to walk around on top of the portal. So we have to have it there, and then we could do it just on the north side. I do think that would be an option that, and my clients are on the meeting, and I could, I don't know if I could text them, but I would imagine that they would be okay with that. And then, because shade is the other part, and we've been talking about, will it have to be temporary, but maybe there is a way that the massing could be helped by some vertical element with the horizontal.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Let me see if there's any other questions. So Gayla, you want to introduce a trellis, which would be?
Well, I haven't drawn a trellis. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I'm just wondering what the dimensions of that trellis would be and exactly where you would locate it.
I would have to be guessing at this very moment, Chair Rios, to answer that question. And so I would say that if the board wants us to relook at the railing, I'd have to come back with designs for that. I don't know if you could approve us and then, have a except for this piece or something. I don't know. That would be up to you guys.
That certainly can be an option.
Yeah, because I'd have to really redesign it, to answer the question correctly.
Okay. Member Beachside.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to continue on the railing, one of the options that you presented, and thank you so much for coming prepared to discuss other options. It's really appreciated and will help us so much. But one of them was a sort of a larger or taller parapet at the wall face. What do you think about setting that back? I just noticed that could maybe sort of mimic the yard wall that's stucco. Would that be a better fit? You have such a challenge with such an odd property to begin with. So just sort of seeking your your opinion as an architect on what options really would sort of be better than a railing around the edge of the entire building.
Chair Rios, Member Bescheid, thank you. One option that I didn't draw was having the parapet, the image on the left and the bottom shows a parapet that's 3 feet 2 inches high. So it's the height that it needs to be for safety. What I haven't drawn is one that's maybe just 18 inches high, so that the parapet itself is a little bit higher, or the wall itself is a little bit higher. I mean, this is a diminutive Spanish Pueblo revival vernacular building, so I don't want to make those walls too tall, but it could be a little bit taller. And then perhaps some kind of metal or wood railing that just goes on the top of that, and maybe just to the north and just to the edge from the doorway. It'd have to overlap a little bit on the south wing, if you want to call those two things wings on either side. But that would be an option that we could try to take away the sort of wedding cake, which I liked in some ways, but I can also see how it's distracting in others. I don't know if Angela could bring up the image that Member Larson talked about, that shows it in elevation, where because we did a more decorative wood railing, it might actually be interesting just that with a less of it. So if you look at maybe the east elevation, which would be the next one, I think. Yeah. And the other thing, so imagine that perhaps the parapet itself, or the railing itself, is like the last 2.5 panels that are towards the south on the east elevation are eliminated. Would that make a difference aesthetically? And I don't know. I when I drew this, I actually quite liked it, and because it was a traditional as well as, but we weren't painting it blue because all the other woodwork in the house is blue, or the exterior woodwork is blue. So it did need to be more blending in, but I think we could play with maybe the proportions of the wall in relationship to the railing. I don't know. I'm looking back at this and going, oh yeah, this is really good. So
I love my work.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So Gayla, it appears from what I'm hearing board members indicate that in the motion, they'd probably be willing to approve everything except probably the railing, and you indicated you'd be willing to come back with different options. So let me open it to the public. We have Member Roybal has something to say.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, that's exactly what I think we should do. Instead of trying to get this redesigned tonight, is to approve, if everybody's amenable, to approve everything except for the railing, and then come back with different design options instead of trying to redesign it at this point. Thank you.
I think there's too many options being suggested, so I don't think that we could actually come to a conclusion this evening. I'll open it for public comment, and I see Stephanie Benanatra wants to comment, and she's been sworn in.
Chair Rios, I know on the last hearing we didn't do the timer. Did you want to run that tonight, or?
Yes, please.
For this hearing, I'll go ahead and do the 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Stephanie Benanato, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with what the board has been talking about. I do think that the railing needs to be redesigned. I think it gets to be overwhelming. I really appreciate that the applicant has come in and has thought about that, going in that direction, and has some other options that they're considering. And I believe that the direction of the board is a good one, to allow them to come back with a redesign that, you know, or maybe even more than one that the board could choose from. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And I will entertain a motion at this time. Board members, motion, please. Member Katz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In case number 2020-00 HDRB, I'm not sure this is the right number, 2693.
That's correct.
I would move to grant the application for everything except for the second item, the wood deck and railings on the south and east side, and have the applicant come back with a new design of the railing.
Member Roybal will second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Yes, Member Beachside,
Yes.
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Yes.
Member Larson,
Yes.
Member Roybal.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you. And thank you, Gayla, and thank you for your thorough presentation, and also for your willingness to go speak to your clients about redesigning the railing. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Board members, last case this evening is Daniel's case, and it is 2020-00-2694, located at 801 Alto Street. It is a contributing building. Daniel, may we hear your report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
801 Alto Street is a single-family residential structure with a contributing status to the West Side Guadalupe Historic District. The structure was constructed around 1938 with an addition in the rear in the late 1980s, which is not visible from the street. Can I have the next slides? Here you see an aerial view of the original pointing towards the street and an addition in the 1980s. Next slide. This is the view from the northwest. Next slide. The building is raised slightly in elevation in relation to the street and is concealed from the street by a high yard wall. This wall is not historic. A 1985 photo shown above shows the north facade without the yard wall and a small porch with metal columns. Today there's this yard wall in front. Next slide. This is the front north-facing facade from inside the yard wall. The east facade is primarily visible from the public right-of-way. If you could go back 2 slides, I'm sorry. Here you see the east, forward one, sorry. The east facade is on the left. It's partially visible from the public right-of-way via the driveway, showing 2 historic windows on that east facade. That's the one on the left. The rear part of the east elevation contains a stucco enclosed porch and an addition with a shed roof dating from 1987. That's not visible from the public right-of-way. Okay, go forward again, please. These are the a non-historic door and historic windows on the north-facing facade. Next slide. Again, the door and windows on the north facade. Next slide. This is the east-facing elevation that is visible from the street that extends further back beyond the gate. That's approximately where the non-historic addition begins. Next slide. This is the enclosed porch, which was part of the original as a porch, but has since been enclosed. Next slide. And here you see the south facade, which is not publicly visible. It contains the non-historic addition with large pane windows and wood framing And in the red square, you can see that's the enclosed porch that we saw a couple of pictures earlier. Next slide. This is the east facade, which is not really publicly visible, just through a very small opening. It contains 2 historic windows and borders less than 5 feet from the neighboring house. Staff recommends that the historic status of the structure be maintained as contributing per section 14-5.2C, and that the north and publicly visible or north portion of the east facade be designated as primary. I stand for questions.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, for your report. So this evening, this case, we're just designating primary facades, and you just indicated the north facade, correct?
The north facade, if we could just pause on that, the picture, then essentially these portions that you can see here, the north facade and the northern portion of the east facade with the 2 historic windows.
Okay, so the northern portion of the east facade. Okay.
As well as the north facade, yeah.
Okay, also, leave that picture up. I just want to make a point here. Look at the 1985 photo as compared to the today photo. In my recollection, having lived in the city all my life, the west side and actually many portions of the city did not have high walls. What you see in the 1985 photo is very reminiscent of what was happening on the west side of Guadalupe Historic District and also in other parts of the city. And then slowly but surely, the walls kept creeping up. And I don't know, when I see the photo in the 1985 photo, to me, it is more inviting than the photo, the today photo. Maybe a shorter wall would have looked more appropriate with this building. That is just my comment. Board members, do you have any questions for Daniel at this time? It appears not. So we will call, and it's Gayla Bechtel is also the representative for this project. Gayla's been sworn in, and Gayla, are you there?
Chair, I'm gonna promote her just a second.
Okay. What happened to Gayla?
I'm here now.
Okay, hi Gayla. So you are the agent or the representative for this project, and do you agree or disagree with Daniel's recommendation for primary facade?
Chair Rios, members of the board, I agree with Daniel on the maintaining the status as well as the 2 facades, or the front facade and the partial side facade.
Okay, thank you. Board members, do you have any questions or comments for Gayla? Nobody has their hand raised, so I will see if anybody from the public wishes to comment. And Stephanie Beninato.
Hi, Stephanie Beninato. I'm in agreement with what's been suggested, and I also agree with your comments, Chair Rios, about walls and walls getting higher. I think that really Santa Fe has gotten, in a sense, more unfriendly. That before, walls were sort of a boundary marker, like this is my space, but I'm still wanting to communicate with my neighbors and, you know, passerbyers. And now it's pretty much blocking everything out. So it's a different feeling. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Benvenu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If there's discussion, I'll defer, but I'm prepared to make a motion.
Yeah, it appears that nobody else had their hand raised for discussion, so you have the floor and you can make a motion.
Thank you. In case number 2020-2694 HDRB 801 Alto Street, I move that, consistent with staff's recommendation and the record presented, that the status of the structure be maintained as contributing, and that the north and publicly visible portion of the east facade be designated as primary.
And And Beachside, Member Beachside?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please. Melissa?
Member Beach, I'm here. Member Beachside?
Yes.
Hold on one second. Let's see. Oh, hold on one second, please.
Oh, sure.
Member Bienvenue,
Yes.
Vice Chair Katz,
Yes.
Member Larson,
Yes.
Member Royball.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion has been approved. Thank you. Thank you, Gayla. Thank you, Daniel, for your report. And that is the end of the cases this evening. Next, we go to discussion items. Staff or board members, anything under discussion items?
Madam Chair, we don't have really any discussion items. I think we were going to speak about the resolution, maybe under matters from the board, but I did also want to observe that I believe Nicole Ramirez Thomas has also joined us. So I know, and she has her hand raised. So in one of these next two agenda items, if you want to invite her to say hello, she's available now too.
Nicole Ramirez Thomas, are you there? I saw that she had her hand raised. Nicole, can you hear me?
I'm here. I just was invited as a panelist and.
Okay. How are you doing, Nicole? There you are. It's the same Nicole I knew from the past.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys? Nice to see you, Madam Chair and board members, and nice to see those that I haven't met too. And I was glad to be asked to help out in the interim, and please don't hesitate to, let me know if I can do anything or if you want to discuss anything. So.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, are you out in California or are you in beautiful New Mexico?
I am currently up at beautiful Lake Tahoe. I live right on the California-Nevada border. And I can't believe I've been here 2 years now. It's a kind of amazing. And we love it. We love it. And I've been able to, until the pandemic, shut down kind of started, I was able to get out to New Mexico pretty frequently. And I will be there the week of the 9th, actually, walking around the historic districts with Daniel and Angela. Yep, so I'll be looking forward to getting out there. I miss all my friends and family and just the beautiful town, and yeah.
So Nicole, if we need to ask you a question or get a hold of you, is the city website going to have, the preservation website going to have your phone number and your email address?
We haven't discussed, so I was waiting for the go-ahead from Eli Isaacson to email you, the board members, and the Archaeological Review Committee with my contact information. And yes, you're welcome to contact me anytime. I know that Sally had mentioned that, my hours are limited per week. However, I'm certain that I can fit responses in within that 25 hours a week that I'll be on call for the committees and for the staff. So I will send. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, I believe he's contacted everyone on this board at this point as of about yesterday. So
great.
We're probably good to go ahead. And if it's helpful for Lanny or I to send out an email to the whole board or something and sort of include you to sort of, if you don't have a good list of addresses or something.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Actually, Lanny provided me with everyone's email address yesterday. So yeah, and I'll let you guys know how to, text, email, call.
Okay, so welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to
go your way out there, but you joined the snow right about now.
No snow here. I was thinking there's a lot more snow there. So
we had quite a bit of snow. So Sally, do you want to tell us about this resolution?
Sure. I don't know a ton about it, but let's see, what I do know is that the city's Arts Commission met for the first time in a long time. And in fact, I think Mr. Burke was actually there, so he might know more about it than I did. But I know they did discuss the situation with the destruction of the obelisk on the plaza. They've certainly, I think we're starting to make recommendations about it right before the pandemic kind of shut down. The vast majority of our committees have actually been unable to meet this whole time, mostly due to city staffing and funding concerns. Of course, the land use boards are going strong due to our ongoing caseload and quasi-judicial cases. But anyway, their recommendation was in fact to enter this resolution. I think I've got it here somewhere. What did I do with this thing? The way it reads right now, it would create a new committee. It would be a 21-person committee to really look into the sort of the community, the really varied and important perspectives in our community on these issues. And we would be taking nominations from pretty much everyone. I think if this board wanted to nominate themselves, a person from the board, someone from the historic preservation community. I did notice that there are a couple of slots expressly reserved for, let's see, where the heck is the membership? We have on here 2 individuals with historical/cultural expertise and credentials and/or higher education credentials in New Mexico history and culture. I did notice also that this has 2 individuals from the Santa Fe Arts Commission or the Santa Fe Arts and Culture community. I think if you wanted to lobby the 7 sponsors of this resolution and say you need to include maybe 2 members of the H board or individuals with historic or cultural expertise, I kind of noted that that's the kind of thing we could potentially still revise the resolution as it's going through our legislative process by kind of requesting that of your counselors and sponsors. So feel free to be engaged in that way as a board to nominate folks. And then certainly as this committee, if it's formed and starts to meet, and I anticipate that it will, there will be ongoing community conversations, recommendations about new art, existing art, the obelisk, other things of that nature, and really having sort of those difficult community conversations that are, I think, important and imminent. So I guess that's about all I had to say, but I'm happy to assist in any way if you need help tracking the legislation as it goes through committees and to governing body for approval. If you'd like to organize nominations, however I can assist in making sure that your voice is part of this. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed.
Thank you. Board members, did you have an opportunity to read the resolution? And I see Member Katz is nodding yes, and I'm sure other ones of you have. There's Buddy saying yes. I'm sure most of you have. And did you have any comments? Member Roybal, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chairman. I would like to go ahead and volunteer on behalf of the Historical Board to be one of the representatives. And if I can't do it through there, if I feel that other board members want to do it, I would like to then be at a person at large. I have been, of course, a lifetime resident of Santa Fe. I love the plaza. In a normal year, I do, of course, the 4th of July car show with the Rotary and with the Vintage Car Club. Usually have 5 to 6 night events in the plaza. I walk down to the plaza. I have such a tremendous love for the plaza. For 5 years, I had over 100 volunteers painting the park benches. I have donated thousands of dollars towards the beautification of the plaza. So I do have a tremendous love for the plaza. I walk downtown at least once a week during the summer months. So again, I would like to go ahead and be nominated for one of the positions, either in the historical board or at large, if there's.
Well, good for you, buddy. I'm glad that you're volunteering.
Well, unfortunately I volunteer for too many. I'm usually on 5 boards at one time and work 60 hours, but it's okay.
Well, buddy, give up those other boards except H board and maybe this one. So then you won't have so much on your plate.
No,
Um,
it's
The way
okay.
it reads right now, the resolution says that nominations should be submitted in the 2 weeks following the resolution's approval to the city clerk. And I think those could come certainly, from the board or from an individual member of the board. So we'll track this. I'll figure out, I'm not sure the date that it's slated for approval, but that'll start our 2-week window. If the board wants to submit nominations, Member Roybal or anyone else, yeah, we'll make sure and communicate that. So,
So Sally, within 2 weeks, you want to have those positions, those slots filled? Is
The
that-
resolution states that nominations should be submitted to the city clerk in the 2-week window following adoption of the resolution. And I'm not sure the date that will happen yet.
Sally, did the resolution get passed yesterday, or did they, I read in the newspaper that may have not got passed. I thought that they may have postponed it.
Getting a little trouble with your audio, Noah, but I think you're asking if the Public Works and Utilities moved this piece on, and I'm not sure. I signed off after short-term rental. So
Okay, so Sally, you're going to stay on top of that and let us know?
I will provide legislative updates and keep track of where this is and if anything changes and what's going on, but I'll take it upon myself to communicate with the board on this.
Yeah, and in reference to public participation, how is that going to be handled? And are you going to tell people we're doing this by Zoom?
I'm not, the committee itself will be creating a process for that. So I think what this says is that the committee, once it is appointed, will convene, compile, and review community listening sessions facilitated by one or more professionals trained in cultural competency to inform their discussions and recommendations. They will gather options to draft guidelines for existing statues, remembrances, and monuments, examine existing statues, remembrances, and monuments, propose guidelines for new ones, existing ones. So I think there will be kind of facilitated community conversations once this group is established. So that'll be kind of a subsequent step.
Okay, thank you. Other board members have comments or questions? Let me see, Member Benvenue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment, just to reiterate, and Sally, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding from reading the ordinance that, again, whatever comes out of that committee, whatever recommendations come out, if it involves altering what's left of the monument or creating any type of new structure, that would have to come to the H board, regardless of what the recommendation was. Isn't that correct?
I believe that's correct, Member Bienvenue. I understand that to be the historic ordinance. I think the city attorney agrees on that. So they'll be making the recommendations to the city, but I do think that any new structures on the plaza would certainly, and monuments would come here.
Or any further modification of the existing monument, what's left, correct?
I think so. I know that there's been some sort of administrative approvals of emergency things and stuff that's been done just sort of out of necessity. I don't think there's a plan to further modify beyond sort of the sort of protective measures and sort of mitigation, remediation that's been done. But.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, board members, anything else? Well, it appears that no other board members have comments or questions. So thank you, Sally, for summarizing it. And I think we'll go to the next thing on the agenda is, it says next meeting, but I had heard the meeting of November the 10th is canceled. Is that correct?
Chair Rios, there were no timely submissions for that meeting. So that's nice. That gives Nicole and the team a moment of breathing space. And then we'll pick back up at the next date, which I think is the 24th, Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay, cool. So does anybody have anything else to say? If not, we are adjourned. So go out and make a snowman, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Good to see you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And it is still early. You can go.